All right, so you're ready to learn about the components of Hunter's AD 1492. It's like checking out a toolbox before you start a project. You got to know your tools, right?
Yeah, exactly. Getting familiar with the components is like, it's a great first step. It's your visual guide to the game.
Perfect. Let's start with the map cards. You know, those sturdy rectangular cards, each showing a different region.
Oh, yeah, the maps with all those beautifully illustrated forests and mountains and rivers, even a creepy swamp now and then.
Yeah, and they all have this, like, historical feel, right? Really
Mhm.
captures that late 15th century vibe.
Totally. And each card is clearly labeled, M01, M20, so you know how to arrange them. And the best part, the arrangement changes every single game.
So much replayability.
Right.
Okay, so then we've got town cards. Smaller than the maps, but still sturdy, usually showing a busy town scene.
Yeah, and they list out the key services you can find there. Like, if you need a blacksmith, you look for a town that has one.
Makes sense.
And you'll see icons representing trading posts and inns and churches. Each card is like a snapshot of what that town offers.
Gotcha. So as you're traveling across that map made of those map cards, these towns are where you'll, like, resupply and get ready for your adventures.
Exactly. They're like little pockets of civilization.
Speaking of traveling, how do you actually get around in this game?
Well, that's where the road cards come in.
Okay.
They're even smaller than the town cards. And, well, they're packed with visual intrigue, I guess you could say. You might see travelers around a campfire. Or maybe a shadowy figure. Or even a creature coming out of the mist.
Oh, spooky.
It really captures that unpredictable feeling you get when you're on a journey, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I bet those road cards represent all those random encounters that can, really spice things up, sometimes for better, sometimes for
Oh,
worse.
yeah, definitely.
Now, we can't forget about the story, right? How does the narrative unfold in Hunter's AD 1492?
Well, that's where the plot cards come in. There are small ones that you discover as you explore, and then larger ones that often involve like important characters and choices that can shape the story.
I see.
And they're all illustrated, which is really cool. It brings those pivotal moments to life. But you got to watch out for the exclamation mark on some of them.
Oh.
Yeah, those are the ones that are crucial for the main quest.
So those exclamation marks mean business.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the map and the towns and the roads, even some story elements with those plot cards. But we were talking earlier about blacksmiths and stuff like that. The actual places within the towns. How do those work?
Right. Well, that's where the location cards come in.
Right.
They represent specific places like the blacksmith, the inn, even the Duke's mansion. Each one has a distinct illustration, and it lists its services so you know where to go for what you need.
So each town is like its own little world to explore.
Yeah, kinda.
Now, you mentioned a Duke earlier. Where does he fit into all of this?
Well, you'll learn more about him in the game's, like the overarching story, in the Tome of Quests.
The Tome of Quests.
Yeah, it's basically your guidebook. It has detailed descriptions of each quest, special rules, setup instructions, all that good stuff.
Okay, like a dedicated rule book just for those quests. And does each quest have its own map, too?
Oh, absolutely. That's where the Tome of Maps comes in.
Yeah.
Each quest has its own tactical map. So that's where you'll be moving your heroes and facing off against those enemies. It's like a more focused battleground.
Gotcha. So we've covered the world map, town specifics, quest details. What about the world's lore? Its background? Is there more to uncover?
Oh, for sure. For that, we have the Tome of Tales.
Ooh.
It's a treasure trove of, like stories and lore entries. It really fleshes out the world's history and secrets and adds a lot of depth to the overall experience.
Now that's the book I'm going to be reading first.
It's a good one.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of the world itself. Let's talk about the heroes. How are they represented in the game?
Each hero has their own board, a hero board.
The board for each hero.
Yeah. It's cool. It's beautifully illustrated, and it shows their portrait and some background details. It also keeps track of all their important stuff, health, morale, experience, attributes. Think of it as their character sheet, but it's like come to life.
So it's a visual representation of their journey in progress. That's neat. Now, heroes need challenges, right? What about the enemies?
Well, each enemy type has its own card,
Right.
and it shows the creature vividly, I might add, and it lists all their stats and abilities and attack patterns. So you know exactly what you're up against, whether it's fearsome wolves or, those cunning crossbowmen.
So there are different types of enemies.
Oh, yeah, tons.
Yeah.
But they're not just mindless automatons.
Ooh. What do you mean by that?
Well, each enemy type also has its own set of action cards.
Hmm.
Yeah, these action cards determine how they behave and attack during those quests. Adds a layer of unpredictability, You have to adjust your strategy based on what the enemy might do.
Okay, that's clever.
Hmm.
So if the enemies have action cards, I'm guessing the heroes do too.
You guessed it.
Oh, awesome.
Each hero has their own deck of action cards. They're, uniquely designed and clearly outline all the actions they can perform. It's like holding their potential in your hand.
I like that. It sounds dynamic. And then what about equipment? Do we just imagine our heroes wielding swords and wearing armor?
Nope, not at all. The game comes with equipment tokens,
Okay.
and they represent, everything. Swords, shields, potions, all kinds of cool items. They're small but nicely detailed, so you can actually equip your heroes and, see their arsenal grow.
So it's like you've got a little miniature armory right there on the table. I bet acquiring all that equipment requires some funds, right?
It does indeed, and that's where Dukat tokens come in.
Dukat tokens.
Yep, they're the currency of this world, essential for buying supplies, trading, paying for services. Think of them as your passport to better gear and resources.
Dukats. Fancy. Now, resources are crucial in any adventure, right? So how are those represented in Hunter's AD 1492?
We have resource tokens for that.
Hmm.
They're all distinctively designed so you know what's what, common wood and leather, all the way up to rare stuff like monster venom and diamonds. You've got to gather these resources strategically to craft equipment and make progress.
So it's like managing your inventory.
Exactly.
Okay, where do you actually store all these resources?
For that, we have the Wagon board.
The wagon board.
Yeah, think of it as your mobile base of operations. It even has upgrades for crafting and storage. You can literally see your capabilities expand as you upgrade it.
So the wagon is more than just transport. It's like your mobile workshop.
Totally.
Now, I've noticed these time tokens. What are those for?
Oh, those are interesting. They represent the passage of time within the game. Adds an element of suspense, Sometimes it's not all about immediate action. Sometimes you have to wait for the right moment.
So they add a layer of strategic timing to the game?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Map cards, town cards, road cards, plot cards, task cards, location cards.
And don't forget those 3 tomes, quests, maps, and tales.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, we've got hero boards, enemy cards, action cards, all those equipment and resource tokens, Dukats time tokens.
That's a lot of components.
It is, but we're not done yet. There are a few more we need to talk about.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We still have some exciting components to explore.
All right, well, lead the way. I'm ready to learn more.
Let's do it. All right, remember those times when you have a ranged weapon and you need to reload?
Yeah, like in a video game, when your character has to stop and reload their crossbow or whatever.
Exactly. So in Hunter's AD 1492, we have these reload markers for those situations.
Oh, okay.
They're small tokens, They just serve as a visual reminder that you can't just keep firing that weapon nonstop.
Right, gotta reload. Makes sense. What about those times when you need a boost in battle? A little extra oomph.
For that, we have offense and defense tokens.
Okay.
They give you a temporary boost, like a surge of adrenaline or a moment of tactical brilliance.
So it's like a power-up.
Yeah, kinda. Something to help you turn the tide of battle.
Speaking of turning tides,
Yeah.
how do you keep track of things like health and experience and all that?
Simple wooden cubes.
Classic.
Yeah, you use them to track your hero's health, their morale, the experience they gain. You'll be moving those cubes around a lot as your heroes face challenges and grow.
I can imagine. What about those miniatures I see in the box?
Oh, the miniatures, they're awesome. Each hero and each enemy is represented by a miniature.
Okay.
And you get to move them around on those quest maps. It really brings the game to life, You can visualize those epic encounters.
Miniatures are always a nice touch. Now, what about a little bit of luck? Does Hunter's AD 1492 use dice?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, good.
We use different dice for various actions, combat, skill checks, even those tense moments of decision-making. The dice add that element of unpredictability, Make sure no 2 playthroughs are the same.
So we have reload markers, offense and defense tokens, wooden cubes, miniatures, and dice. That's a whole lot of components working together.
It is, and each one has a specific purpose. Understanding what they do and how they all work together is, it's key to mastering the game.
Awesome. Thanks for walking me through all of that. It's been really helpful to get a visual sense of these components and how they fit into the gameplay.
You're very welcome. It's always fun to delve into the intricacies of a game like this, especially one as rich and detailed as Hunter's 80 1492. But remember, this is just a glimpse. The real adventure starts when you open that box, you lay out those map cards, choose your heroes, and embark on your first quest.
So what excites you the most about this game? Knowing all these tools and challenges are out there waiting for players.
I think it's the combination of storytelling and strategic decision-making. And of course, that element of chance that we talked about. You never quite know what's going to happen next, and every choice you make has consequences.
It's like a tapestry, isn't it? Woven from all these different threads, and each component adds its own unique color and texture to the overall design.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And just like a tapestry, the real beauty lies in seeing how all those individual threads come together to create something truly amazing.
Well said. This deep dive has definitely given me a much deeper appreciation for all the thought and care that went into creating this game.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's a whole world out there waiting to be explored, stories to be told, battles to be fought, mysteries to be uncovered.
I can't wait to get started. Thanks again for taking me on this journey.
The pleasure was all mine. And to everyone listening out there, happy hunting.